Good morning, evening, whatever time it is for you. Um, so, sort of I guess, a congratulations. We have a 1.0 release that's been pushed to crates.io. So, really fun accomplishment. So, while we're here, I've updated my fork to point to the latest release of on GitHub from the original one here, and I want to contribute some new changes. Okay, so let's start from scratch. And what I want here's what I see. Um, I don't like the box new. Um, you should be from the command line be able to give this anything that impls, in this case, command handler. So to sort of explicitly box it in here just to conform to that is it's like annoying to the user. So what I like is, let's see how we fix that. It'll be the same thing that we did for the web server example, where the add command here is we don't give it a box of this. This is going to be generic over impl command handler w, where, okay, w is bound up there. Okay, and that's it, I think. Don't close that. So only here is where we do the box new. Now, like, granted, this will it probably won't, like, explode your number of implementations. You're only going to have really one, or you're going to have a few things that implement command handler, but it's not really worth it for this. So this is going to be sort of our new version of this, and it's probably not going to pass a build because this is, it's going to be in the doc, isn't it? Yeah. So we no longer then have to pass in box of whatever. We can simply pass in greeting or whatever it is that we want. Because it'll figure out what type it is. It knows it's an impl of that, and everything's good. I think I'm going to try this. Was this add command? Add cmd. I think probably we can make this a dyn. Oops. Sorry, I've hit the undo somewhere. There we are. So instead of it being impl, this is a dyn. And I think we can still box it. Can we? Size of values aren't known because it needs to be sized. No, that's not going to work. This is an auto trait. Let's look at the errors for a minute. The size for values of type this cannot be known because you cannot implement it. You can use impl traits, okay. Or we can do a borrowed type, okay. Yeah, so we're going to have to do the impl. And this will just be fine. So let's look at where else we explicitly box our stuff. So I don't want that. Don't want that. Okay, we got one more right there. Good. Now let's run our cargo test. Oh, it failed. Required. This might be where it's compiling our docs. There it is. Yeah, so it's compiling our docs. So now our docs, I feel, are going to look better. And ironically, this is going to be a breaking change. So we're going to have to bump the version, but I think that will be okay. Let's run cargo build, cargo test. The only other thing I want to do here, just make this smaller because I like more real estate, for our command here. Let's do the trick that we did for the FN type in the web server version. So if you remember, we had a blanket trait. So we're going to import F, command, really we need R and W, command F and, no, command, okay, so let's try to get this impl right. So it's going to be generic over F, R, and W of command R and W, where it's not that one. Where R is IO buff read, W is IO write static, probably, and F is FN. Could probably make it FN mute. Yeah, let's just make it FN mute of. And then what is, oh, it's not going to be of CMD, it's going to be of command. What is the type we were using? Sorry. Well, that's interesting. Impl. What are we impling? We just have CMD. So we need the handler. So it's command handler. There we go. That's what we need. So let's put that over here. Let's get some more space over here. Okay. Now, if I were a professional, I would start this over, edit this, and make it sound like I knew what I was doing from the beginning. But what I want is, let's delete all that. Make sure we didn't screw anything up. So we want to impl this trait for FNs. So we want to impl, and it's going to be generic over W and F, command handler W for F, where it's probably right. Now F does not implement debug, so we need to plus format debug. Nice. Okay, so this is the trick that we're doing, so that now we don't actually have to implement, we don't have to create something just for doing a command handler. We can have a command handler that works for just an FN, or a sort of any closure that we pass in. So let's see. Let's find the docs. They've got to be here. Where are they? Was it triple slash? There we go. So we have our documentation here. It's the first part of that. Oh, it's probably in lib. There it is. So we should be able to add a command And let's just call this simple. Kind of weird, but you know, this should work. And our command handler is, so we get stud out. Let's take that off. It's kind of weird to like hide the, or put an underscore in front of that. So we have out, I'd rather call this output because it could be anything. Stud out doesn't really matter. So output in the args. And so let's say output args, and we are going to, it's hard to write code in docs, right? Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to do. Now, we don't have a result type for command result, right? This is just a full command result, so there's no way for this to fail. That's unfortunate. That's really unfortunate. So really the return type of command handler should be some kind of result type. And the result type is probably then going to be, are we going to have a type? Are we going to have an internal type of that? Not sure. But let's go with this right now. And this probably runs. Oh, it doesn't. Why? Because it doesn't know the type? Really? Type annotations needed. I don't think I need a type annotation. I thought that our compiler was going to be smarter than that, but probably we didn't tell it what we needed to tell it. So let's check it out. We have our trait command handler. Where is that? There it is. We're implementing this where we have output and args. Set that there. Args is that. Okay. I'm surprised that didn't work. So I guess we need to have a very explicit W. And I'm not sure that I like this. Because like these three have to be the same W. So what is help? Help's W is impl command handler for help where we're doing standard out. Okay. This is where we need to, I'm going to say, fix it. Sort of in giant air quotes. But probably in testing, there was an issue with like, how do we, because this command handler should be generic over any type of W that implements whatever the right is. Is it buff right or just right? Doesn't matter. So we shouldn't in our own implementation say that this only works for stud out. But we are. And I think we need to make that generic. So let me see if I can just make this work here. So I need to do, can I do it right here? And then args is going to be typed of, was it a reference to array of string refs? Did I not do right? A struct with a similar name, lowercase o. Cannot be formatted because what doesn't implement debug? Because because our command handler doesn't implement debug. We don't need the command handler to implement debug for anything. Our command handler should not have to implement debug. Okay, what happens if we take this off? Probably all hell breaks loose, but let's see. Yeah. Because we force it here. I think this is going to be just a nightmare, but yeah, so this isn't able to implement debug because, but there's no reason for that to implement debug. Oh. Okay, we mostly worked. This still says it cannot be formatted, probably because add command forces that to be command handler. I'm going to search for debug. Drive debug, that's a lot of places. Here. Yeah. There. Quit. Okay. Let's see what we're at here. Let's find the very beginning of this. There it is. All the tests pass. Type mismatch and closure arguments. Add command expected for this. Found signature defined here. Note. Expected a signature. That gets pretty ugly. Required by bound here. Impl command handler. Considering adding the mute. Okay, it's just the mute, I think. So let's see where it's here. Just need to type this to be at mute. Now, use parentheses in this closure. I still don't like the debug thing. Closure 56, 58. Why does it need to be debug? I thought I took that off because our command handler now should not require debug. This doesn't. Oh, because this one does unnecessarily. Now, okay, expected command result. Okay, we're just not returning command result here. So this is going to be, we have to return, let's get the indent right-ish, command result continue. Now we build. And it complains about unused format. That's okay, I can take that out. And we're good to go. Okay, so sort of those unfortunate things about live coding. Let's go back and do a little retrospective of this and see how we did. So I had to add these arguments. I'm going to take these out and see if I can get away with not supplying the types, but I think I do. I think I have to have output be an explicit type, which is really unfortunate. Yeah. Okay. So I do have to type this, but I can make this there we go. I can now implement a command handler with just an FN closure that's put on there, even if I do have to say what my output is. And like I said, I shouldn't, but we'll deal with that in just a minute. Well, in the next video, I'm going to shut this down because I think this is already a train wreck of a video to begin with. the add command. Okay, we'll live with that for now. The main thing that I wanted to do in this is to say, okay, the command handlers somewhat, I don't want to say unfortunately, I took out the debug because I don't see any reason for them to be debug for this. It makes it so that you can't have closures, and I don't know why you would need to print what a command handler looks like, except for perhaps debugging when this was just first conceived, first implemented. Man, it's been a long day. I was in Chicago, drove up to Milwaukee, drove back down here to St. Louis, so I'm just mentally spent. These handles are still boxed, but we changed the implementation of add command to be generic of anything that can implement command handler. That way we don't have to like box it externally at the expense of some metamorphization in it's adding a few additional commands for the handler. But you know, if that really matters in your program, you got other issues. So don't worry about that. So then we explicitly box our handler here. So then this will work for anything. We have sort of that unified interface where we can add commands of any type, and it doesn't really matter, as well as the FN, because we created the blanket trait for a command handler for handlers that implement just an FN, taking two arguments, unfortunately explicitly defining what the output's going to be. So let me maybe close this down and start up another video to try to fix this so it can be generic across the outputs. The command is still going to be explicit about what type of writer it's going to need, but this should be pretty straightforward. I'm not worried about that, but it's going to really break our API, but probably is going to be worth it. So, like I said, I don't care if you like it. This video is a train wreck, so you should really not like this video whatsoever. And if you did subscribe, just unsubscribe, because you know this was awful. But I'm going to post it anyway, because what do I care?